Muito bem-vindo a mais um episódio do Aprender Inglês Podcast, o melhor podcast para você aprender inglês com conteúdo que se relaciona com a vida e com o seu dia a dia. Meu nome é André e será um prazer estar com você em mais um episódio, onde nós iremos explorar uma história, fazer comentários, tudo em inglês. Nós iremos ouvir e fazer comentários em inglês. Caso você tenha qualquer dúvida, deixe nos comentários, será um prazer responder as suas dúvidas. Se você gostar desse episódio, compartilhe com um amigo. E de agora em diante, we will speak only in English. So let's listen to the story and let's see what we can learn together today. So let's listen.
The Curious Case of Albert Einstein.
The Curious Case of Albert Einstein is the name of today's story. Albert Einstein is probably, I would say, the most famous scientist probably ever. And we are going to see curiosities, interesting things about his life and career.
Meet Albert. He wasn't always a famous scientist with messy white hair. He was once a boy who loved to wonder. He looked at the world and thought, what secrets are hidden here?
Meet Albert. Meet Albert is like, should know Albert. To meet Albert, like, hey Albert, nice to meet you. So that's meet Albert. He wasn't always a famous scientist with messy white hair. So he wasn't always the Einstein we know. He was once a boy who loved to wonder. So before becoming the famous Einstein we know, he was a boy, a child, who loved to imagine, to think. He looked at the world and thought, what secrets are hidden here? So he would look at the world and think, what secrets are hidden? What are the secrets I cannot see, but they are here?
When he was 5, his father showed him a magnetic compass. No matter which way he turned it, the needle always pointed north. Albert knew there must be a secret, invisible force working. He never stopped asking why.
When he was 5 years old, in English, we don't need to say years old all the time when we talk about age. For example, when he was 5, it already means when he was 5 years old. We can say when he was 5 or when he was 5 years old. But we cannot say when he was 5 years. We say years old or nothing, but not just years. So when he was 5 years old or when he was 5. His father showed him a magnetic compass. The magnetic compass is a device, a thing people used to use more in the past than nowadays, but we still use it nowadays for sailing, navigation, flying, which is a device that points to the north. And his father showed him the compass, and Albert knew that there must be a secret. He thought, what is the secret? Why does the needle always point north? There has to be an invisible force And he never stopped asking why. He was always asking why.
When Albert went to school, it was hard. He didn't like memorizing rules or sitting perfectly still. He preferred to ask big questions about the stars and light, which sometimes frustrated his teachers, who wanted him to stick to the lesson plan.
When Albert went to school, so he went to school just like everybody, it was hard, it was difficult. He didn't like memorizing rules. He didn't like to memorize, to listen to the information and repeat until memorize, until the information, like to make the information stick or stay in his mind. So he didn't like that. And also, he didn't like sitting perfectly still. He was not a quiet, regular child. He preferred to ask big questions about the stars and light, which sometimes frustrated his teachers who wanted him to stick, to pay attention, to follow the lesson plan. So the teachers had a plan for the class. And Albert probably would ask like, what is the light? Or questions that were not related to the class and difficult questions.
Albert realized that facts were important, but imagination was even more powerful. He would say, "Imagination is more important than knowledge." He learned best by thinking for himself and dreaming up possibilities. When he grew up, Albert
realized that facts were important, but imagination, the act to imagine, was even more important. He said, imagination is more important than knowledge. So he said, if we imagine, that is more important than knowledge. And he learned more when he was imagining than when he was just studying. So he said, imagination is more important than knowledge. That is a very famous sentence said by Albert Einstein. It is one of his famous quotes, one of his famous sentences. So let's see the next.
When he grew up, Albert needed a job. He couldn't be a professor right away, so he worked at a patent office. His job was to check if other people's new inventions were truly original. But in his free time, his mind was always whirring with his own ideas. Albert loved to think about
Right. So when he grew up, so when Albert Einstein grew up, he was older, he needed a job. He had to have a job, a work. He needed to work. But he could not be a professor immediately, right away. So he worked at a patent office. The patent office is the place where people bring their inventions and they say, I created this. So it's the place to make official new inventions, new creations. So his job was to check, to analyze if the ideas of other people were truly original. The ideas were original. But in his free time, when he had a free time, his mind was always worrying, always thinking, always imagining with his own ideas. So every day he was analyzing ideas of other people, but he also had so many new ideas, and he would constantly think about his ideas and the things he wanted to know more about.
Albert loved to think about light beams and fast trains. What would happen if you rode a train going almost as fast as light? Could you even see the light beam move? He asked himself these strange, fun questions every single day.
Right. So Albert loved to think about light and fast trains. He would be thinking often, what happens to get a train and you go with the train in the same speed as light? What would happen? Could you see the light move or not? So those are interesting, curious questions. And he asked himself, so he would always ask those questions. What would happen if we could go as fast as light? So he asked himself these strange, fun questions every single day. So he would ask those questions all the time.
In 1905, he shared his incredible idea, the theory of relativity. It explained how space and time are connected, and how energy and mass are two sides of the same coin. This led to his famous, magical-sounding equation, E equals mc squared.
In 1905, in 1905, exactly 120 years ago, he spoke about his incredible idea called, the name of his amazing idea is the theory of relativity. It explains how space and time are connected and how energy and mass, so energy and the things, what are like the mass, are two sides of the same coin, which means they are different, but they are actually very similar. This led to his famous magical sounding equation. Equation is when we have, it's in mathematics or in math or in physics. We have the numbers and letters working together and they mean something. For example, Albert Einstein's equation about the theory of relativity is E equals mc squared. Squared is that little 2 on the top of a number. So that is the equation of his theory of relativity.
The world was stunned. Suddenly, the quiet, curious man was famous. He traveled everywhere, sharing his ideas and encouraging everyone, especially children, to keep questioning and exploring. The world.
All right. So the world was stunned, was like, wow, that is incredible. The world was amazed at his theory. And suddenly, like something that happened fast, the quiet, curious man was famous. So he was quiet and very curious. And after this happened, he became famous. Everybody was, wow, he's so smart. That's incredible. He traveled everywhere. He traveled to many countries, sharing his ideas and encouraging everyone. So he traveled everywhere, talking about his ideas and encouraging everyone, telling people like good things, especially children. So the children, he would encourage them to keep questioning, to continue asking questions and exploring. So it is very important to ask questions and explore.
Albert knew that mistakes were just part of the journey. He reminded people, a person who never made a mistake never tried anything new. He always valued trying and learning, even if you sometimes stumbled.
And Albert knew, he understands that mistakes were part of the journey. Mistakes are a part of the entire journey. Everybody has mistakes, and it's a part of the journey. He reminded people, so he would tell people that a person who never made a mistake never tried anything new. So people that never had done anything wrong, they never tried anything new. When we try new things, we have mistakes. It is a part of the process. He always valued trying and learning. So he always thought, he always understood that trying and learning is very important, even if you sometimes stumbled, even if you have mistakes, even if you fail, it is a part of the process.
Albert Einstein taught us that being truly smart isn't just about good grades or knowing all the answers. It's about staying curious, dreaming big, and never letting the rules stop you from asking, what if?
So Albert Einstein, he taught us the lesson we can learn from him is that being truly smart, intelligent, is not just about having good grades in school. You got a 10 in a test. It's not about that. Or knowing all the answers, or if you know the answers to things. Actually, being truly smart, it is about staying curious. So it's about staying curious, about curiosity, dreaming big, having big dreams, and never letting the rules stop you from asking, what if? And you never let the rules are the things that you need to do. So the rules stop you from asking, what if? So we cannot stop to ask, what if? So this is Albert Einstein's story. And I hope you learned many new things in this conversation. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, share it with a friend, and I'll see you on the next episode.